Hello, my name's Alex Hutchinson. I'm a freelance IT director for law firms, barristers' chambers, and other professional practices. And in this video, I want to just share some insight around a common problem I see when firms are trying to select a new IT provider. And by that, I mean your kind of IT infrastructure managed service provider, they're often called. So they'll be providing your help desk, taking your support tickets, resolving queries, looking at your managing your infrastructure, providing your infrastructure, and taking care of certain elements of security. Now, there's been an increase in the number of engagements I have now where firms and also a barrister's chambers recently want me to come in and take over the project of trying to identify and appoint a new IT provider. And the reasons for that is because it's becoming increasingly complex to identify a supplier unless you have a resource to kind of dedicate it as a project, really. It's not something that you can typically do by going to the market, looking at alternative providers, and trying to have some conversations with them around how they can help you. That's typically where firms start, unless you've got a big IT team that can run these type of projects. But if you don't have, going to talk to suppliers first is a mistake, because you can't control that conversation. You can't lead and identify and determine whether they can actually provide exactly what you need. And what I wanted to do was provide some insight on where you should start, because if you're going out to suppliers first, not only are you opening sales conversations, which means people are following up with you. Where are we at with it? Can we do a discovery? Can we do a presentation to you and the team to tell you about what we do and what we've done for other firms and blah, blah, blah? It's all in the wrong order. What you need to do is take a step back and look internally and start to build your requirements so that you can control these conversations. And in a positive way, I mean, so it builds relationships with the right supplier that's going to be identified as somebody who can help you and that you want to select and appoint moving forward. So it's about trying to determine exactly what problems and challenges are in place at the moment. You'll know that, but do you know why they're happening? Do you know whether that's a technology issue or whether it's a supplier-based issue? Do you know, based on the case and practice management system that you have in place, which will be critical to the firm, exactly what environment is required from a technology perspective so that can perform? You don't want to try and fix one problem and create another one by not putting the system in the right environment. So sometimes, for example, you would normally try and rely on the IT provider to advise on that. But I have a live example recently where we have a firm where they have Proclaim. They had, before I was involved, they had quotes in from there was 4 different quotes that have been received from potential IT providers, IT managed service providers, and some of those couldn't actually deliver the environment that Proclaim needed to operate stably, and it would have caused them a big problem if they would have moved forward. Now, they knew that there was challenges, they knew there were gaps, there was massive differences in the quotes that were received even. So part of my exercise is to get to the bottom of that and determine what they need, why there's big gaps in the quotes, why there's big differences in the quotes, where the validity in those are, and enable them to kind of select the right supplier moving forward. It's all about trying to determine and build your requirements, and then you can identify and work with the partners that can help you deliver that. That's what builds good relationships. That's what means that there is success in the project. I think if you run kind of a standard tender process or buy a package from a consulting firm for these tenders, where they'll send it out to these suppliers, you've often seen them before, and it's a copy and paste exercise, and then they get hit over the head with a stick around the price all the time, and just the whole exercise can lead to a negative start. I even know there's an increasing number of providers now that don't even respond to these tenders because they believe that depending on where the tenders come from and the timing, they could know whether they've got a shot at winning it or not, or who might even be winning it. So yeah, there's a lot of complications with it, and I think these things should always start internally. Don't go looking for answers until you really know what you need to a degree, whether you can go and find out who can provide it for you. Now, if you need help doing that, I'd be more than happy to have a conversation with you about how it can help. Projects I've run recently that have delivered that and how it leads to successful outcomes. Take care.